My parents banned me from Thanksgiving because they said I brought negativity. The next morning, their neighbor sent me a video and said, "You need to see what they said after you left." I watched it once, then called my lawyer. "Hello everyone, my name is Natalie Brooks. I'm 39 years old, and the year my parents banned me from Thanksgiving because I supposedly brought negativity, I spent the holiday eating turkey sandwiches alone in my living room. The next morning, my phone buzzed. The message came from our longtime neighbor, Mrs. Eleanor Grant, who had lived across the street from my parents for nearly 30 years. We'd known each other since I was a little girl. She rarely texted, which was why I answered immediately. "Natalie, I wasn't sure whether to send this, but after what I heard yesterday, I think you deserve to know." Attached was a 12-minute video. I pressed play. Halfway through, my hands started shaking. I watched it once, then again, then a third time. Finally, I called a lawyer, not because my feelings were hurt, because what my family discussed after Thanksgiving dinner wasn't just cruel. It had the potential to destroy my reputation, my career, and my future. Looking back, I should have understood much earlier that my role in the family wasn't really daughter. It was problem solver. Whenever something went wrong, everyone somehow expected me to fix it. My younger brother Kyle had always been charming, outgoing, funny. He could talk his way into or out of almost anything. Mom adored him. Dad called him the easy child. I wasn't difficult. I simply asked questions. If something didn't seem fair, I'd say so. If someone wanted me to pay for another family expense, I'd ask why. Apparently, that made me negative. After college, I became a certified public accountant. Numbers made sense. People, less so. Eventually, I opened my own accounting and financial consulting practice. It wasn't glamorous, but it was successful. Small business owners trusted me. Families trusted me. Local charities trusted me. My reputation became my greatest asset. Ironically, that reputation was something my own family never seemed to value. 3 years earlier, Dad asked if I'd help refinance part of their home. "I just need you to look over the paperwork." I did. That's when I discovered something strange. Several loans had been taken against the property. I didn't recognize them. After asking a few questions, the truth finally came out. Kyle had repeatedly borrowed money. My parents had quietly guaranteed several of those loans. When repayment became difficult, they wanted me to help cover the shortfall. I calmly refused. "I'll help you create a repayment plan. I'll negotiate with the bank, but I'm not paying debts I didn't create." Mom looked disappointed. "So you're just going to let your brother struggle?" "No, I'm refusing to encourage the behavior." Dad sighed. "This is why family gatherings become uncomfortable." I remember blinking. "What does that have to do with anything? You always turn everything into a lesson." No, I simply refused to pretend financial problems disappeared by ignoring them. From that moment, something changed. I slowly became the family member who was too serious. Every holiday included little jokes. "Natalie's probably calculating the dinner bill. Don't ask Natalie, she'll tell you why it's impossible." Everyone laughed. I smiled politely, mostly because explaining why it hurt would have only produced another lecture about my attitude. Then came Thanksgiving. 3 days before dinner, Mom called. "I wanted to let you know early." "Know what?" "We think it's better if you don't come." I honestly thought she was kidding. "What?" "Kyle and Amanda want a peaceful holiday." I laughed once, short, disbelieving. "They think I'm the problem." Mom sighed. "They feel judged. I haven't seen them in 4 months." "I know, but after everything, you bring negativity." The words landed harder than I expected. "I see. I'm sure you understand." Actually, I finally did. I wasn't being excluded because of one disagreement. I was being excluded because I had stopped making everyone comfortable. "Have a nice Thanksgiving, Mom." "You too, sweetheart." She sounded relieved. That hurt most of all. Thanksgiving morning arrived quietly. Instead of driving across town, I stayed home, cooked a small meal, watched old movies, answered emails from clients who also happened to be working. I told myself it didn't matter. Families change. People grow apart. Life goes on. Then Friday morning, Mrs. Grant's message arrived. The video had apparently been recorded from her backyard while she was testing a new outdoor security camera. She hadn't intended to record my family, but my parents had moved dessert onto their back patio. The microphone captured nearly everything. The video began innocently. People laughing, children playing, coffee being poured. Then someone mentioned my name. Mom spoke first. "I'm glad Natalie wasn't here." Dad agreed. Holidays are easier without all her opinions. That stung, but I kept watching. Kyle laughed. "We don't really have to worry about her anymore." Amanda asked, "What do you mean?" He answered casually, She's too busy keeping clients happy. Then his voice became quieter. I honestly don't think she'd notice if we handled a few things ourselves. My stomach tightened. Dad asked, "You mean the old client list?" Kyle laughed again. Exactly. Mom didn't object. Instead, she asked, would she ever find out? I immediately paused the video. My heart pounded. The client list, only 3 people knew I was negotiating the sale of part of my accounting practice. Me, my business partner, and Kyle. Months earlier, I'd made the mistake of mentioning the possibility during a family dinner. He must have remembered, hands shaking. I pressed play again. The conversation continued. Only now, every word carried a completely different meaning. I reached for a notepad and started writing down timestamps because I suddenly realized this wasn't just family gossip anymore. This was something far more serious. Sometimes, people become their most honest when they believe the one person they hurt will never hear the conversation. As I replayed Mrs. Grant's video one final time, before calling my attorney, I realized my family hadn't simply insulted me. They had crossed a line that could never be explained away as a Thanksgiving misunderstanding. I replayed the recording one final time. This time, I wasn't listening like a daughter. I was listening like a CPA. Every sentence, every timestamp, every name, every detail. I wrote everything down. Then I called Laura Bennett, the attorney who handled most of my firm's legal matters. She answered immediately. "Natalie, I need you to hear something." 20 minutes later, she was sitting across from me in my dining room. We listened together. She didn't interrupt once. When the video ended, she quietly closed her notebook. "Have you shared this with anyone?" "No." "Good." She leaned forward. "Your family insulting you isn't illegal." "I know, but what comes after that?" She tapped her pen against the notebook. "Is a different matter." According to the recording, Kyle wasn't simply talking about my business. He was discussing downloading my client contact list from an old laptop I had once left at my parents' house while visiting. Months earlier, I'd replaced that laptop. I'd forgotten the old one was still in my childhood bedroom closet. Kyle apparently hadn't. On the recording, Amanda asked, "Can you actually get into it?" Kyle laughed. "She never changed the password." Dad chuckled. "Then you already have everything." "Pretty much." Mom asked quietly, "What if she finds out?" Kyle answered with complete confidence. "She won't. I'll contact a few clients before she finishes selling the practice. They'll think I'm part of the company." Amanda laughed. "And if she asks, we'll tell everyone she's retiring." I felt sick, not because they'd insulted me, because they were calmly discussing using confidential business information that didn't belong to them. Laura looked at me. "Do you still have that laptop?" "I think so." "Don't touch it." "What?" "If anyone accessed it, there may be evidence." She immediately contacted a digital forensic specialist. That same afternoon, we drove to my parents' house. I wasn't there to argue, only to retrieve my property. Dad opened the door. His smile disappeared the second he saw Laura. "What's going on?" "I came to collect my old laptop." Mom frowned. "Why?" "It's mine." Kyle walked into the hallway. "Oh, that old thing. I think I threw it away." Laura calmly spoke. "Mr. Brooks, destroying someone else's property after being asked about it could create additional legal issues." Kyle's confidence vanished. "I didn't throw it away." "Good." 5 minutes later, he returned carrying the laptop. Laura immediately placed it into an evidence bag. Nobody understood why. 2 weeks later, the forensic report arrived. The laptop had indeed been accessed. Multiple times, external storage devices had been connected. Several folders containing client contact information had been copied. Fortunately, the files themselves had been encrypted. The information Kyle believed he had copied was unreadable without credentials stored elsewhere. Even better, the forensic report showed exactly when the files had been accessed. The dates matched the Thanksgiving recording. Laura smiled. "This is stronger than I expected." Rather than filing a public lawsuit immediately, she first sent formal legal notices. Kyle received a cease and desist letter. My parents received notices instructing them to preserve all electronic devices related to the matter. Within hours, my phone exploded with calls. Mom cried. It was all a misunderstanding. Dad pleaded. We never meant for anything to happen. Kyle sounded angry. You seriously hired lawyers against your own family. I answered quietly. No, I hired lawyers to protect my clients. They trusted me. I won't betray that trust. Several days later, Kyle requested a meeting. This time, at Laura's office, not my home. He looked exhausted. I messed up. Yes, I thought the client list would just help me start my own bookkeeping business. You thought stealing confidential information would help. He lowered his head. I wasn't thinking. No, you weren't. Laura placed a settlement agreement on the table. If Mr. Brooks signs this, he acknowledges what occurred, returns every copied device, submits to verification that the files were destroyed, and agrees never to contact your clients. Kyle signed, without arguing, because the evidence left little room for denial. The investigation ended there. No public lawsuit, no courtroom. My clients never lost their confidential information. My reputation remained intact. That was all I had wanted. Epilogue. Soft piano becomes lighter, carrying peace instead of disappointment. It's been 4 years since that Thanksgiving. I no longer spend holidays wondering whether I'll receive an invitation. I make my own traditions now, sometimes with friends, sometimes with colleagues, sometimes quietly at home. My accounting practice continued to grow. The partial sale was completed successfully. Today, I mentor young accountants about something most business schools never teach. Protect your data, even from people you trust, especially from people you trust. As for my parents, we eventually rebuilt limited contact, but only after they accepted that trust doesn't automatically return because time has passed. It returns only when actions change. Kyle started over in a completely different field. The settlement forced him to confront choices he'd spent years excusing. Whether he truly changed, only time can answer. My thoughts. Looking back, the video didn't destroy my family. The decisions made around that Thanksgiving table had already done that. The recording simply revealed the truth. Sometimes people believe that because someone is family, they deserve unlimited access to your life, your work, and your trust. They don't. Love and trust are gifts, not entitlements. The hardest lesson I learned wasn't that strangers can betray you. It was that protecting your integrity sometimes means holding even the people you love accountable. And in the end, the best thing I ever did wasn't calling a lawyer. It was finally believing that my reputation and the trust my clients placed in me was worth defending.